Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. CPI week this week. How's everyone doing? Good morning, John. Good morning, McRangers. Good morning, Bull Strike Cheetah. Maybe I need to do Bull Strike sent me a long email. Maybe I'll have to do a special session just to cover doubles and the rules. Maybe that would be beneficial for everyone. Good morning, Sterling. Sorry your vacation is over. Back to the grind. Good morning, PMG. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning to people in the background. So, how are we doing? Hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. But getting caught up on my return to work, so I'll drift in and out. That is fine, Sterling. There's not much going on this morning. What else we got? Wholesale inventories coming out in 30 minutes. Consumer inflation expectations at 11 Eastern, and then 3-month and 6-month bill auctions tomorrow. We have Redbook Business Optimism Index. Again, the first 2 days are very, very light. Wednesday is CPI, inflation data, CPI, and your EIA numbers. Thursday is PPI and jobless claims. And Friday is consumer sentiment, the preliminary numbers from June. But overall, I mean, you got a big number on Wednesday, minor number on Thursday. But we have a very light week. So I'm really focused on Wednesday this week because of the CPI. And we do still have cycles at the top and heading down. So we'll have to see how stuff reacts going into Wednesday. Broadcom's still pulling back after their earnings. Other chips rallying. Tesla, after a little bounce up on Friday, gapping back down. I think there's a downgrade on it. What else do we have? But overall, sort of a mixed to slightly positive day. Groups, everything. Let me refresh this, double check it. Everything's still positive. Everything's still positive going into the Monday. Still, we have, remember, next week is the rate pause. The rate pause, which is 99.9% fully baked in. For a pause, fear and greed, we're still in greed mode. Schiller PE, we're almost to 37 again. Earnings this week. I mean, you got Oracle after close on Wednesday. Adobe and Restoration Hardware after the close on Thursday. But there is not a lot. Yeah, GameStop Tuesday, Dave & Buster's, but not a lot that's going to be market moving. Again, we've wound down earnings season, and we'll then wait for the next one to ramp up again. What else? Good morning, David. Good morning, Harold. All right. So how do we look with the markets this morning? Just grinding higher. On any pullback to the rotation zone, I'm still watching for short-term buys, even though we're at cycle tops. If we start closing below the rotation zone, about 58.95 as of this broadcast, and I'll go to neutral mode. And the only thing we still, let's see, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have to see. Unless we collapse today, this potential double is going to be off the table in the S&P. Okay, it's getting too extended based off of this spike. Hello, Charles. So, other than that, we're stalling out. We're near Friday's high and against the harmonic, 60.23, and the high, I believe, was 60.25. If we blow through there, 60.50 to 60.52 is the next key area. The next major area is 61.38. On a pullback, the minor level I'm watching is about 59.80. 59.80 is key, and then into the rotation zone is 59.70. So we do have a little mini potential double top going into the open right here. So first thing I'm watching is at 59.70 to 59.80 on a pullback. But beyond there, if we continue to pull back, would be down to potentially 59.59. The intermediate target is 59.67. So that's on a slightly bigger pullback, and that would definitely take it into the daily rotation zone. So, good morning, Anissa. There we go. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Heinrich. All right, NASDAQ. NASDAQ, is this into potential double top territory just yet? No, it's not. It has to get above 21,834.25 to put it there. If that happened and then we got below this low, then I'd watch for the pullback there. Other than that, the minor levels, let's fine tune this. The minor levels, let's see, it's right around those lows. It's right around. You got very key area right around there. 21,720 area. Technically, the low here is 21,716 that potentially triggered a double that has not formed yet. All right, on the bigger pullback, though, to get it into the rotation zone, you're looking on back to 21,633. Very decent resistance around this 21,850, 860 area. Blow through there, 22K is still the next minor magnet price. Really watching that well-formed daily, weekly potential double top in euro, US dollar, since DXY also has a potential double bottom off the 62.5. Yep. I'm really watching that. I retweeted out a thing this morning. I mean, people are so bearish on this dollar, and I'm not. It's really stalling out here. I'm watching for potential front-run buy setups, and we'll get to the dollar in a second. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Richard. Fighting in the street, Richard. We'll call you Fighting in the Street, Richard. In the riots in LA. So we'll see about how that unfolds. Dow, still the minor price target is 43,097. Excuse me. Pullback area is about 42,535. Russell's interesting because it triggered actually this big head and shoulders. But I'll put that on in a bit. I'm really focused on this 62.5 level. This 200 and the 62.5. If we get above 2189, I'll continue to use the targets for the head and shoulders. But based off that 62.5 being right in the way, that is my first target on this breakout. Okay? So that's where we sit. If we get above there and close above there, I'll put back on the targets for the inverse head and shoulders. VIX, little bounce up today, but again, we set a new recent low. This is the lowest it's been on Friday since, wow, that's the lowest it's been since it broke out in February. Markets are getting very complacent going into CPI. Going into everything, they're getting very complacent. So I look as still volatility plays. DAX, nothing to talk about unless we really close below the rotation zone, about 23,900. Pulling back into that now. It's rotated up the last couple times, so I'll be watching to see. But DAX, you see all this waning momentum and cycles rolling over. And the DAX is also very overextended for the weekly. So I'm really focused on a bigger pullback to about 23.6 at least. Here, this is interesting. So you had the minor head and shoulders top that triggered on Wednesday, reversed on Thursday, technically no stop reduction, but closing below a walkaway trend line on Friday. So this is based off the walkaway trend line, not the 62.5. This is off. And that's the stop I was utilizing. There's two different stops that can be utilized, the walkaway trend line or the 62.5. Based off this power move on Friday, this is over for me. And yields back above 4.5%. So pretty quick reversal. Tried to break down there. This was also a percent beat buy once it broke above this high, and then stopping out the head and shoulders and following through. Now, I'm watching this key level because we closed above 4.51. We'll shift the probabilities back to where we could test the 4.58 to 4.6 level again. Same with the right here. Same with the 30-year on the upward sloping. The 30-year back closing in on 5 again. So those were quick little reversals there. Dollar index. Still, we ticked off the 87.5. We have the bigger potential double. I'm watching for front run patterns for this. Again, I'll really start sitting up and taking notice if we can get a daily close back above 99. Really trying to build a stronger base in here. Crude also breaking out on Friday, stalling. So I'm still watching for pullback plays in crude now, especially. This was the highest close since the taper tantrum sell-off. This was back to the highest close. So I'm still watching now with separating rotation zone for pullbacks. We are getting cycles to the top and a little overbought. That's why I'm being patient, but watching for pullbacks on crude. Gold. Gold coming down first, nearly second target hit. I was not looking to short this gold. I was looking for pullback ways, so I'm watching for now a little bottoming pattern down here with the pullback. Bottom of the rotation zone, still holding. This will be interesting tomorrow also. If we close like this, this could set up a potential percent beat buy tomorrow on a break above today's high, potentially. So I'll be paying attention to today's high going in overnight and tomorrow. Silver. Again, I'll be looking for pullback plays in silver. Hitting that next harmonic. Hitting it on Friday and then retesting it today. So cycles at the top, very overbought. Oops, there we go. But we'll be looking for pullback plays in silver because, again, silver has broken above a very strong topping base, rising weekly rotation zone. So any pullbacks here, we'll be watching for potential buy entries if not already long. Copper, watching now for the secondary reaction after the pullback. Pulling back actually below key support. That's why it needs now to get back above 4.97 for the copper. By the way, if you haven't been watching it, platinum, come on, platinum. Platinum also breaking out very, very strong last week. Nice 1 week pausing bar, taken out and launching itself. So platinum will be another one, especially potentially to the key pullback areas around 1138 area for potential short-term entries with the rising rotation zone. Euro also, here's your big potential weekly double top with the weekly rotation zone out of the way. Now, it's not anywhere near triggering yet, but that's what I'm paying very, very close attention to. Here it is on the daily. The daily, if we start closing back below about 113.40, we'll close below the rotation zone, and I will sit up and take notice. Spiders. Forgot to update this level for a couple days. Coming up, again, we had 653 as the next target area. The minor target area, 598.03, stalling out Wednesday, Thursday. Now hitting off that 653. So that is done. That does not mean the move has to be over. This is also, let's just pull this off and clean up the chart a bit. On the next key move higher, 609.76 is the next move higher. The key support is coming back right around 593.25 to about 593.70 on any bigger pullback. So that's where we sit there. Still watching, again, for pullbacks. It might not happen until the CPI. And if the CPI comes in stronger than expected, we could start getting the bigger pullback. That's where I'll watch for the secondary bounce. We just aren't there yet. With the NASDAQ, again, key thing I'm watching is Friday's close. 524.79 on any pullback. Next target higher, 537.55. So, what else? VIX and volatility are in general mean reversion. Yes, they are. what does it tell me? Tell you intraday levels are constantly held and respected? That's a vague question. I mean, a lot of times levels are held and respected. It means we also have the market's not overjuiced right now. Not overjuiced. The equal weight, again, look how far this is off from the highs. So just want to point this out. Look at the spiders closing in on the high area back from December and in February, and the equal weight nowhere near the November, December highs. Nowhere near that yet. Bitcoin, again, triggered and upward sloping and is going to be invalidated real quick. So that's another one. Again, breakdown plays are still getting bought. The market is still buying up everything. Tesla, you had the gap up, little gap down. The only thing is if we form a double bottom and then triggered that, would I be looking for anything more than this weak bounce? But key to downside for me, closing below 271.80. That tips the probabilities. We already had the head and shoulders top play out. Now we got the first cross the rotation zone, so I'm still looking for rollover sell plays in here. Broadcom pulling back into the rotation zone, where it was really overdone with a topping candle last week. So I'm going to be watching for the potential bigger pullback on this, but and then the secondary reaction. There's nothing for me to look at with Broadcom yet. NVIDIA still has a potential double top unless we rally above 146.13. Going into the CPI number. What else do we have? Meta finished its double. So that's off the table right there. Finished the double. Does not mean the rally has to stop. On the next push up, you still have to check off the potential 87.5 at this 708 area. Okay, just above 708. So still taking a look at that. Amazon, 216.10 is the next target in its double, trading 214.62.64. So I'm going to be watching to see if that's tacked off today. Been waiting for this one for a while. So the Meta double played out faster than the Amazon double, but the Amazon double still is in play now. It does have a potential double top. So that's a key, very key low from back Friday the 23rd. All right. That's about it. That's about it. Remember, daily cycles, weekly cycles, still at the top. That does not mean we have to have a big sell-off today or tomorrow, but I am cautious, a cautious bull going into Wednesday morning. A cautious bull going into Wednesday morning. Let's just pull this off now. It's done. There we go. There we go. Good morning. All right. I'm not going to... Can you check PIU? I see a daily double bottom. Sure. Hold on one second. Then I'm going to call it early in this one because there's not much to talk about. So we can all get prepared and... There is a daily double bottom that is still not confirmed or triggered yet. There is a potential double bottom. Did that, let's see, 65.90 high. Oh, it is confirmed, not triggered. It is confirmed by essentially one tick, but not triggered. It is against the rotation zone, so it's one of the slightly lower probability ones. So there you go. All right. I think you have to buy volatility down here. I've been buying VIX call spreads that are dated about 90 days out, and we'll sell them on spikes. Yeah, I think you have to at least look for volatility plays down here. And I agree, you're going out in a decent time frame because at some point we're going to get another volatility spike. This market's getting very complacent. I actually want to own a little more volatility going into CPI number. Not a guarantee something will happen, but and that could be for a minor pop, not a major pop. Again, when markets get complacent, they can stay complacent for a while. It's going to take something out of the blue to spike them. So potentially as something on Wednesday, but that's not going to be the major spike. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Have a wonderful, wonderful trading day and see everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.